Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast pop culture edition. Today we are hitting you with a multitude of different topics in the pop culture world. Once again, some from very feel good to some to very, very serious. So we have the pop culture expert with us, Miss Chelsea Hepburn. How are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, thank you. And like I said, the intro, we got a lot that we're going to go over, serious and fun. So, Chelsea, I will ask you, do you want to start with the serious stuff or do you want to start with the fun stuff?
Let's do the serious stuff because then we can end on like a fun, happy note.
All right. Okay, we'll start with the serious stuff. Obviously, the biggest thing taking the current entertainment world by storm is the whole situation with Taylor, Frankie. As you know, the Bachelorette. No more. There's been a multitude of different things that have come out from this situation, past stuff, current new stuff. Chelsea, there hasn't been a situation like this in, well, Bachelorette history. And
hmm
um, just, Chelsea, do you want to give the quick synopsis on what happened with Taylor?
Yeah, so I just want to start with the fact that one, no, like what she did is wrong, like first and foremost. But I will say that this isn't a new development. People have known about this for years. It's just different because the video is finally out. Um, This happened in 23 when they were
Hmm.
first filming Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. It was very well documented on the show that she was arrested for a domestic violence situation. Um, the facts were in the police report. Um, and the situation, like, it was damning then, on top of like the swinging scandal. And I'm using air quotes, but you guys can't see. And obviously now the video adds more context to what actually happened. And even then it's a very small glimpse into what was going on behind the scenes, some of which we will probably never know. So all of that is to say is that it is not a new situation. It's not excusing it. It's just point blank, like this has been documented for a few years now. So in 25, ABC announced that Taylor Frankie Paul would be the next Bachelorette. I think it was in a hope of a multitude of things. Taylor's on and off again boyfriend slash baby daddy slash the person who is involved in the incident, Dakota. Her and him finally allegedly broke up. And so she was taking this opportunity and was offered it. And we see that kind of play out in season 4 of Mormon Wives, just for like up until she goes to leave to start filming for Bachelorette. Um, and I think part of the reason why this is so much bigger is because a lot of people from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives are planning to watch The Bachelorette, but The Bachelorette has been on for what, 20 years now, 25
Hmm.
years. And there's only so many things that will capture the public eye or attention for so long. And like it's a very popular show. I watched it for years. I haven't in the last few years just because I was over it, but they were hoping for that resurgence with a name like Taylor Frankie Paul. And they got it, and literally everyone was excited for it. And then, literally, as the show was about to premiere or was supposed to premiere, that video came out, which put a hold on a lot of different things. So that's kind of like the quick, not so quick synopsis of what happened.
Yeah. In the description box, wherever you listen to, there'll be a link of the timeline of events of what led to this getting canceled right before it was about to uh premiere. Chelsea, you said obviously like this stuff wasn't new,
Yeah.
and yeah, so like you said before, stuff this was documented in 2023,
Yeah.
but for a lot of people who were watching the stuff post 2023 or didn't watch any of their previous shows where they talked about it, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't know this was a thing.
Right.
Um, until they saw the video. And
Right.
obviously, the video of that was very damning. And then this child being struck, that was probably the nail in the
And
coffin.
the proverbial coffin.
So there's a lot of things, and this is probably, I mean, this is going to ruffle a lot of people's feathers, and it's going to be a very serious and comfortable conversation. But I think the biggest thing is that what if that video doesn't come out, this show is probably still going on. So
Correct.
I don't even think ABC canceled it. ABC slash owned by Disney didn't cancel it because of the things that she was convicted for. It's just the
Mm-hmm.
fact that now the public have seen this video. Probably the highest of the higher ups have now seen this video because obviously, like the CEO of Disney's not coming down there checking on who's getting hired for what. They spend a lot of money hiring people to do that type of stuff. So,
Right.
but then once they're getting flooded with the video and seeing that, they're like, oh yeah, we can't do this. Like,
Right. So I will say, like, to your point, there are people hired in organizations just across the board to do those background checks. Like
hmm
for the average person, like when you get a new job or new role, you go to HR, you do your little drug test, you do the background check, and life goes on. But with a show like ABC or a network like ABC, and with a show of such popularity, those producers and the network needs to be doing due diligence. And you had sent me a link where it was very much like, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was selected by ABC and he had to go through obscene screenings and background checks and like that network knew every secret and left no stones untouched. But I will say, like, the overarching topic for a lot of networks and TV shows, and this is very much true of Netflix, of Hulu, like, it doesn't matter what network we're talking about, things either get missed or they turn a willful eye against it. That's very much true in things like Love is Blind, where there's allegations of assault and abuse about certain cast members. And it's like, well, why did the producers not check this or interview the people around them or things like that? So it's very much like it's not just an ABC network thing. This is a blanket, like, as reality TV and as influencers turn into celebrities, like they need to do more than dot their I's, cross their T's. Like they need to do regular check ins and like set those parameters a little bit better.
yeah, I think the only difference and the only pushback I will have on the thing that you just said was
Hmm.
the difference of the word and allegation.
Yeah.
Allegation is there's rumored or whatever thing of said thing happening. This never went to the court. This never they never were convicted guilty. She was convicted guilty. You can go on any legal thing and find her case
Right.
of this stuff. So that's even more damning than like there's allegations of this person doing something, but we can't prove it. We can prove that she did this. She pled guilty. She cut a deal. I mean, she pled guilty to get the other stuff dismissed. So I
Hmm.
think that's what ABC was like, all right. She pled guilty to the aggravated assault, which is still a felony, for dismissal of the remaining charges. She was placed on probation. And for people who don't know, when you're placed on probation, that means the judge is electing not to send you to prison at that time. If you don't complete your probation successfully or you mess up again, then you get sent to prison. So she was still convicted of um, stuff just
Okay.
for people who
Yeah.
don't know how that works.
Hmm.
And then her conditions were she wasn't supposed to consume alcohol or illegal drugs or violate any laws at that particular time, just for people to, from the legal side.
Hmm. And one thing that I do appreciate you clocking like the allegedly, but moving around away from like the network side of things or reality TV show, like if you look at other industries that create celebrities, looking at the NFL and pro athletes, there's a lot of people in those industries that are convicted who still have $1 million contracts and are able to live their lives just well. So it's, and I'm not excusing it on either party. Like, to be perfectly clear, it's just the double standard when it comes to industries, and then what is publicly excusable versus like, oh, that can be brushed under the rug until videos come out or until more graphic information comes out or whatever the case may be.
So I'll say two things on that one because you use the NFL as an example. So obviously
Hmm.
the NFL was the primary one of changing the entire culture when it came to allegations in the video coming. For people who are listening to this, even sports people, even people who don't listen to sports, you probably know the Ray Rice incident where it
Hmm.
was alleged that he beat up his wife and it wasn't shown until the video was shown of him clocking her a couple times, close fist and all, and back in '07, then he was kicked out of the league. And I mean,
Hmm.
him and his wife was reconciled. Like he was, nothing was going to happen to him until the video came. So that was really the start if there was no, if the video happening and stuff like that. The only thing I would say, another thing, and more, I guess, a legalish, not legalese, but kind of stuff. The difference between
Hmm.
the NFL and something like ABC is that the NFL is technically a private organization.
Right.
So that's the difference. So then they can let back whoever, like they have their own rules, stuff like that. They can let back who the ABC and stuff. That's a public thing. Like there's like stocks, and there's investors. There's
Hmm.
all of that. There's the boards, and they got to answer to a whole bunch of different people when things of that happen. The NFL obviously has to answer to the fans and the public,
Right.
and
But
then
they're operated separately.
yes, operated separately. And then people then push back too, saying that even if someone in the NFL is charged with all of this stuff, they're not getting, and they do get in trouble or stuff. They're not doing interviews on other people's stuff unless they become an advocate for stuff. And what I'm referring to that is that the fact that Miss Woman Empowerment herself, Alex Cooper, just had her on the show just recently, 2025 September, to announce that she was the
Yeah.
Bachelorette. And my only thing with that, and that people say to that, is that in that situation, Alex is a
Hmm.
private thing. She's allowed to have who she wants to have.
Hmm.
But, and it's the truth, if that was, and this is where it gets, people are having a real tit for tat. If that was reversed and that was a dude, Alex would not have that dude on the show with the same charges.
Correct. Correct. And then I'm glad that you brought up Alex and call her daddy, because once we kind of work our way through the Taylor Frankie Paul situation, I do want to go back to Alex Cooper because she actually will be coming up a few times tonight, this evening, for various things.
Various, various things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually true. She is in
Yeah.
the next thing too. But, and then the other stuff, it's the fact that TMZ, they got, you could do the timing of the video, like how the hell did they get this video right before it came out?
Right.
Obviously, it caused a cancellation. ABC did not know this video existed because now it's just looking really bad. And even from their financial thing, they're about to they're losing 70 to $100 million on this.
Right.
70 to $100 million. The contestants might be able to sue them because it's like, hey,
Loss of income and opportunity.
yup. So the fact, and then for me thinking that they're willing to lose 70 to 100 mil, I think that that means there's, and I know there's some hints, there's more stuff coming with this lady. Like
Yes.
there's either more charges, things we don't know about, because if you're willing to cut now and eat that, that means something's happening.
Correct. Um, and with that being said, going back to Alex Cooper, so she just had Jesse Draper, who's a fellow Mom Talk, Secret Lives of Mormon Wives person, on her show. Literally, the episode premiered last night. So they filmed it last Friday. So it's very, very much like a recent thing. And for those of you needing dates, today's the 25th. So it came out the 24th. Um, Literally, before we got on this, I was a few minutes late because I was watching that interview. And it was very much like the dialogue between Alex and Jesse was very much like, we're going to preface this with, we don't know everything that could come out. If there's more, there's likely more to come out regarding the situation. Um, but only like we can only wait until things do come out. And with that being said, like Jesse covered a lot of topics ranging from a little bit about the Taylor Frankie Paul situation, but also Jesse found out from TMZ that her husband filed for divorce. So TMZ is having a resurgence with Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So TMZ can thank them for their paychecks. Um, but overall, the interview was very well done and it had a lot of interesting grounds that were covered.
If you're her manager, do you even let her go on that podcast and even talk and like even talk about the subject? Or it's like, hey, like I know you want to ask about my thoughts on Taylor, but the network and my manager's like, I can't answer stuff
Right.
like that.
So they actually stopped filming for season 5. They put put a pin in it for a little bit because they wanted to kind of work through what is actually being said. Because I mean, there is going to be a lot of legalese. There is going to be a lot of other involvement that shouldn't necessarily be part of a reality TV show. But Jesse, what was addressed with Taylor Frankie Paul was a very short blip. The rest of it focused on Jesse and her relationship and her divorce. And Jesse had a very blanket, like, I'm not like, it was a very PR standard statement of Taylor is my friend. What she did is wrong. I do not support the action, but I do support the person. But only time will tell with investigations and whatever else will come out. So it was very like, yes, I'm aware of things that are happening. Yes, we were aware of it in 2023. No, we did not see the video until it was leaked. Now we're going to talk about my divorce.
I would say that line, no, I don't support the action, but I support the person. And then the pushback with that is like, so when is that allowed to be said?
Right.
Because just recently, which I didn't put in the notes, but just recently, obviously prominent musician Usher, he literally said the same thing about P. Diddy. Like
Ooh.
he never experienced the actions, which he didn't. But
Hmm.
I mean, he loves I mean, that's a lot of a lot of musicians wouldn't be where they're at without Diddy. So it's like,
Right.
so then, and then I'm not saying which one do you think is, because the thing is, he was not like when he went to court and all that stuff, he was not guilty of rape. He wasn't guilty of all the serious things. He took those smaller things,
Hmm.
obviously, and the same with this. I'm not saying which one is better, getting accused of sexual assault or or being getting convicted of like a smaller type of thing of sexual assault or getting convicted of domestic
Mm-hmm.
violence and endangering children.
Right.
But it's like, so when is that allowed to be said? Because Usher got pushback from the person who interviewed. I think it was someone from CNN or something like that. But I don't. You
Right.
watched it. I don't know if Alex pushed back saying like, "Yeah, I can
Um,
understand that's your friend, but this is her kid got hit in this. Like that's
right.
you're lucky you even have your kid. Like that. That's a children's service thing right then and there."
Right. So like Jesse didn't use those words verbatim. So like don't quote me
Hmm.
on it. I literally just watched it, but it was very like I want to say her exact quote was something along the lines of the actions and behavior do not reflect like the whole like I it was at the beginning and I literally just watched it before we got into
No,
this pod.
I saw the thing
Right.
on the
But
socials, like her little quote and whatnot. I mean, again, and she's supporting her. She
her
wants to be there
friends.
for her friend. Like
And
that's
like
where I was coming to.
I'm not saying Usher is wrong for supporting his friend either. Like it's a different dynamic, but you're also dealing with the court of public opinion.
Hmm.
So you do have to toe those lines. And the same could be said like on a smaller level with like our day-to-day lives. Like if I did something wrong or horrible in my personal life, like somebody could have the same views. Like, are we going to hold them to that same standard? Like, that's where it becomes a slippery slope, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It can be one of those things too, and their thing too. It's like, hey, this person's my friend. Also, now this person, I don't. You'd have to tell me because you watch the More and Wise show. But now, obviously, she's the most famous person right now that
Mm-hmm.
everyone is talking about. So that's going to bring in ratings whenever
Right.
this is brought back because they're going to be like, oh, they're really bringing her back. They're doing this, they're
Right.
doing that. And then this is where it goes to the thing that we've talked about a lot about throughout these years on this pod about like our views on cancel culture, and how if you make a mistake, you shouldn't be canceled, things like that. I do, I do think in certain situations, it's like, all right, man, like that video of you strangling the guy or hitting the kid, that's gonna live forever. And then there's more stuff
Right.
going on. And my thing now is that if you were not famous, would you have had to do more treatment or like would if you were a normal person, what would you have been sentenced? That's what I was really for because obviously you need more help. Like
Right.
you need some help, you need some more treatment or whatnot because you're not taking it as serious as it is, and now that you're potentially this is going to be damning you for the rest of your life. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just yeah, it's a crazy thing. There's a lot of thing. Obviously, people talking about the hypocrisies and
Right.
obviously the double standards in life in general. Like saying that women talk about all the double standards in the world, which there are, but then like when it comes to a situation like this, women are coming to her defense where it's just like she literally was accused of a child like of this
Right.
stuff and then talking about how we don't take women abusers seriously. And then the biggest thing that this is getting related to, the last time a famous woman was, I don't want to say outed like this, but outed like this was Amber Heard because her career really, it really died after her losing the
Yeah.
Johnny Depp thing.
Yeah. And it'll be very interesting to see how it shakes out. And unfortunately, I do think that this is a similar situation to Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, where they are both at fault. It was a very toxic relationship, just like Taylor and Dakota. There's definitely not confirmed by any means, but if you look at some of the clips, like you can tell that there's substances involved, um, which is similar to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation. So it'll be interesting to see one, how it plays out, but two, how it impacts them. And also like the level of celebrity, because we've talked about this before too, between like what is a celebrity versus what is an influencer, yada yada. And like
Hmm.
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives have slowly they've stepped into that threshold of reality celebrities. Um, but then Johnny Depp, his credentials and his celebrity is long-standing versus Amber Heard, who, yes, she had been in the industry for a long time, but wasn't as well known. So it'll be interesting to see like how the parallels and how the different industry standards, I guess, play out when it comes to what the courts will actually decide.
Yeah. And there's more stuff incoming. I mean, TMZ just said there are potentially more charges
Right.
on the way. So definitely keep a lookout on that. And again, people, you don't have to make excuses. I mean, for her, for the people out there, what she did was wrong. I
Right.
mean, because if you're making excuses for her for whatever reason, then you got to make it for the next person in the next situation. But
Right.
it's one of those things that she did it. It was wrong. Not she's gonna have to learn from it, and then she can come out on the other side of this. But she has to face the repercussions of what she did.
Hmm.
And then after all of that and healing and admittance of what you did was wrong, then you can go on the other side. Now, if it continues to be a pattern, then we're talking about
Right.
more serious consequences. I mean, prison is the most serious consequence she can get, and I don't think she's built for prison like that.
No. No, no, no.
Even though, but here's what you were just talking about. Is she famous enough to go to a famous people, comfy, cozy prison?
Only time will tell.
No. Hopefully she doesn't get to that point. And we might circle back a little bit about that more seriously, but let's get some more happy stuff. We actually hinted about this the last podcast we did because we got the first trailer for it, but now it is past the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special. Chelsea, what were just some of your favorite moments you saw of posts or tributes or anything of the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special? And in general, what does Miley mean to you?
Aw. Yeah, so I let me preface this with I growing up, we didn't have cable or Disney Channel. Like it was
Hmm.
not a thing in my household until sixth grade specifically. And shortly around that time period, that was when Hannah Montana came out. So it was like my first real Disney show that I could watch at my own house instead of going to a friend's house to watch Lizzie McGuire, you know?
Hmm.
So like it was very like special to me, and we all know I love pop music, I love pop culture, so like even little baby middle schooler Chelsea, like that had me hooked. So I watched it. It was great, and I've actually been able to see Miley Cyrus live during her Bangers tour, which was phenomenal. Um, so the 20th anniversary was yesterday, the 24th, and a few of my friends and we went to a local brewery here because they were having like a Hannah Montana themed evening. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was fun. So they were playing different episodes from each season leading up to it, and like the episodes are 20 minutes, so that was whatever. And then they had like a cute little themed drink, and then everyone watched the episode. So it was just like a cool experience because the section that we were at, there was probably like the place was full. And it was very funny because like you felt like you were watching sports because during the episodes, not the anniversary, but like the reruns, like everyone was chatting and having a good time. But then literally as soon as they put on the anniversary, everyone got silent. And everyone was paying attention. Like it was very much like this is girlhood and like this is community and like we're just enjoying the vibes. So like people, we were all singing along to the songs when Miley was performing them. And there were certain parts of the interview that was very like people were getting emotional at, and it was just like a cool experience to be part of. But have you watched it? It literally just came out yesterday, so it's okay if you didn't.
I've read the recaps and I've watched all of like the things that I've wanted
Mm-hmm.
to watch of it. I mean, I've watched enough to have my
Your opinions.
of the two particular favorite moments from the whole special thing.
Mm-hmm.
One was her with the dance choreographer doing the what you call it, the country thing. Well, what was
The
that?
hoedown throwdown.
Yes, hold down, throw down, and her still remembering that dance, move for move. That was one of my top two favorite things because it's like I remember, I even forget it was so long ago where people were trying to do that dance in my basement of my parents' house. It was so long ago, so just seeing that was really cool, and her so knowing it. I actually have
Mm-hmm.
three favorite moments because now her at the very, very, very beginning, before the thing even started, when she did the Disney one and said "still got it," and it was still the exact same motion as all those years ago. So that was
Right.
cool. So
Yeah.
those two moments, and then my other favorite moment, I mean, was Selena Gomez. When she talked to Miley and said that uh, just a simple line that's true, like you changed the culture. And
Yeah.
then Miley responded saying you did too, and that was it. I mean, I think that emphasized the entire point of the 20th anniversary and the entire significance
Love those
um
shows. Yeah.
of those shows and those young ladies. And then obviously with stuff behind the scenes coming out, like the casting like the director and them. I just read an article saying that like it was a gamble to pick Miley because there were two other people that some of the other people wanted, and he was the one
Mm-hmm.
who stuck. I was like, hey, if we take Miley, this girl could be a real star. It's a
Right.
gamble though, but she could be a real star. And it's funny because I don't know the one of the other persons, but the other person who was up for Hannah Montana was Danielle Millette, the person who plays Victoria Justice's older sister on Victorious. She was
Mm-hmm.
up for Hannah Montana. So it was just like hearing that behind the scenes things all these years later was just mind boggling. So no, I thought those were some of my favorite things, especially the Miley and Selena interaction, or
Yeah.
Miley saying like back then Taylor Swift wrote one of the end songs of the thing,
Right.
and then actually seeing actually seeing it, remembering what Taylor Swift actually used to look like when she was like teardrops on my guitar, country singing Taylor Swift, and not
Yeah.
what she is now for the younger youth who listen. So that was cool. Again, I like hearing those type of behind the scenes, like, oh, if like even Miley talking about the first episode, how, now obviously older, looking at the wig, and the wig wasn't as top tier as you can get wigs now. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this was the pilot. We didn't know we were going to be on after this. So,
Right.
like,
Like
just
no one knew.
hearing stuff like that was really, really, cool for
Yeah.
me. And then, not all these shows get that stuff. I mean, especially with this generation, like Miley got to do that. Selena got to come back for a bit for the new Wizards
Mm-hmm.
of Waverly Place show, like things of that. Like that's cool
It's
things to
cool
see that those people do not forget
where they
where
came
they
from.
came from and where without that show they would not be where they're at today.
So one thing that I will say, like that, well, multiple things, be so for real. Miley, as most of us know, like she had a wild time. And it wasn't anything mind-blowing. It was just she was doing it in the public eye and everyone put her into the box of she's Hannah Montana, like she's a Disney star. She can't go out and smoke weed or sing Party in the USA while dancing on a pole. Um, so like we all grew up with her. And like when she was in her wild phase, it was my freshman, sophomore year of college. So I very much like related to her. And there were points where Miley struggled with being associated with Hannah Montana. And like, I think it was SNL maybe, where she joked about like Hannah Montana being dead. Um, And to come back and do the anniversary is such like a cool 360 moment of once you get to where you're at in life, like you can look back at the past with fond memories, even if it may not all have been good, but like that love is still there. And I think her statement is true in the sense of Hannah Montana is still like is dead because it wasn't a relaunch of Hannah Montana like they did with Wizards of Waverly Place. Like this was very much a we want to celebrate what this did for pop culture and for so many people and what it gave to the fans and acknowledge that it's been 20 years. It wasn't a new episode or anything like that. So, yes, Hannah's still dead, but the memories live on.
Yeah, and it's I would say in her thing too, her time frame and like the way people were seeing her was very interesting time because obviously she was coming in where a lot of things like That's So Raven was done, Lizzie
Mm-hmm.
McGuire was done. Like just thinking of all the shows that used to be there, like even Steven's Sister Sister, even the animated shows of like Kim Possible, things of that. So you're looking for that next generation of people. And then like you've seen how obviously no one it's one of those things too where it's like she left and she's doing her stuff and then obviously she's getting compared to other people. Like when
Yeah,
she was in the quote unquote wild face, it's like, well, Hillary Duff never did that. Like when
right.
she got out, like Kyla Pratt from Proud Family, like all like you're getting compared to all that stuff, and you think, or even too, like the people who were really in charge of that stuff, like the Disney thing, went to those shows because she came right in the like High School Musical era, and she talked about like riding around with like Vanessa and Zach, and
Mm-hmm.
so like that was cool too. So it's just one of those things. It's like, all right, this is gonna be the thing. And like that generation, I mean, it didn't have like the stuff like Miley. The thing, Miley wasn't even that bad. The worst one of that generation is unfortunately my favorite singer of that generation. That was Demi. She was the worst. I mean, she was having
Yeah,
real drunk, like real problems,
right.
real problems. So, like when you look at it hindsight, you're just like, you know what? Miley wasn't even that like that little phase where they're talking about like you're talking about the bangers thing or obviously like the Wrecking Ball performance, I think, in the VMAs when she was like that, or when she was twerking on Robin Thicke. Those were big controversial things at the time.
Right.
Now it might be controversial just because of the political climate and it getting weaponized politically,
Right.
but it's not that bad compared to the stuff we have now, which is like you just look back and it's like it's pretty tamed compared to what we have now.
Oh my God, yeah. And she
So
can't be tamed.
that's well, that was good on you. And then we also saw other stuff with her, obviously like the big probably breakup with like her and Liam and
Yeah.
all of that. But no, she's grown and she's done, and obviously the stuff with like Nicki Minaj back then on then is like, but she's grown. It was really cool again, just seeing because if
Right.
you're a certain age, you see Miley Cyrus, you see like your own growth because if you watch it, if you're a certain age, like a '90s per se, you this was the first Disney star that you were the same age as.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for a lot of like yourself, millennials, and all this. Hillary Duff, they're all older than us by some years.
Yeah.
Miley's like,
She's all right.
if she wasn't famous, you could be in class with her.
Right.
So like seeing that grow, like you literally the phases that she went through of marriages, divorces, relationships, using like trying out weed, drinking, all of that, you may have probably went through that same exact thing at the same exact time frame as her because you
Mm-hmm.
were that age as a millennial. So that's why
Right.
it's a lot of like you just said you were able to have a bar on a Wednesday night with that. So that's what I mean. That's what she truly means to the millennial generation.
Yeah. Like she is iconic and uh, she's not without controversy, but her controversies very much she cut her hair and did drugs.
Cut her hair,
Cool.
did drugs, was doing videos with doing videos with rappers and
Right.
um yeah, that's really what it was. And now it's not that big a deal. So
Right. Like it's just wild. But no, it was a lot of fun to watch it last night. As a whole, I really loved it. It was interesting. Alex Cooper was the host. And
the super creepy fan, since Miley said it
yeah,
herself. And I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I definitely, the way she acts, yeah, I can.
yeah, which is kind of funny. And then Billy Ray Cyrus was actually he was on it, and
Mhm.
they have a very non-existent relationship.
They did a
Um,
live reading, right? I remember seeing that
yes,
wasn't okay. Now it's kind
yeah.
of crazy. It's like, oh, I don't know if it was. I was like, no, this sounds real. This sounds like I'm watching the real thing. Like they did a live
No,
reading.
it was real. And it was sad because you could tell like obviously they love each other, they're family, but
Mhm.
you could see the strain and the just like the tension there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But no, it was so good. I loved it. I enjoyed watching it, and kudos to everyone who put it into production.
Yeah. Shout out to the Miley Cyrus. Shout out to Miley Cyrus. Shout out to Hannah Montana. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
Culture changing, culture changing show, and going from there, a person who had no intention of changing any culture to basically changing the culture forever as well. It was the creator of OnlyFans who recently passed away of cancer. Before we get into OnlyFans and talking about that, Chelsea, because now we just talked about the millennial generation. He passed away at 43. That
That's
is
sad.
like for some other people I was talking to, that was the first thing they thought of was like, that's not far away from our
Where we're
current
at.
ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just seeing that. But so, and I know I sent you the text like, because obviously, and you said something back, which a lot of people didn't know, like, OnlyFans was not like what it was supposed to be, what it's become, and all of that. Like, it was basically supposed to be just another like paywall thing where you can pay. People can pay to watch you do activities, cook, blah blah blah. And then obviously, I don't know, and I wish I researched it. I wish I found out the first person to decide to do a sexual act on there, and then everyone followed suit. But
Hmm.
this one thing that he created, literally, it provided people so many jobs in
Right.
so many ways. Just not even from the OF creators to the people who talk shit about the OF creators. Like they've made them millionaires.
Hmm.
It's just morality debates, and I like he didn't know it was gonna get to this, but it's
Right.
crazy to think about, like that this one site, it boomed at the right time, like COVID, everyone inside,
Hmm.
and it's just wild. I mean, it's the most gray area
Of the internet.
of the internet.
Because
Like,
it's, yeah. And especially like gray in the sense of there's a lot of legal changes occurring when it comes to obscenity, specifically pornography laws.
mhm.
So it's wild. But no, when I truly like if you would have asked me before he passed away, like who the creator of OF was, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah,
So it's just like interesting, but I think it's sad, truly, that he passed away so young. Like,
yeah, agreed. And
yeah.
it's really great because when you start talking about it, you can go so many different ways because you can start getting angry in a sense where it's like if someone's doing that, you start getting angry when you see like, oh, someone's making X amount million stuff and they're just
Hmm.
doing a specific thing and you're working your ass off in your job that you've worked your whole life to acquire these skills and you're never going to make enough of them.
Right.
Or those people become, or some of them truly doing that and becoming super arrogant in themselves, thinking they mean more to the world than what they do just because they do OF and make all this money And
Hmm.
then we've had those people spur and say stupid things and give stupid advice just because they're on OF. And then people then saying, people on OF should die because they're not worth anything in society. They're just sex workers doing this and paying that and this and that. And then like most rational people, you're just sitting in the middle, you're like, 'cause I mean, I won't lie. There have been times where I'm just like, wow, this person is making XXX amount on OF, but
Hmm.
and then if you even thought about venturing that route, all the things you've worked your entire life for is over.
Right. And I think that's an important call out. Like, yes, they might be making that money, but there's certain parts of them that they are no longer private. Like,
Oh no,
not only from,
there's
there's
nothing
nothing
private.
private,
No, no.
and they have to obviously accept that fact, and they're living through that because it, like, you're not keeping that a secret. Like, people know, your family know, like, uh,
Yeah,
there's consequences.
once you
And
cross that, there's no going back. And I think people are dumb to think there are. I mean, there's people who have made memes. I don't know if she was serious or not, but obviously a very prominent porn star, Lana Rhodes, was talking about how she wanted like her because she's quote unquote retired. Everyone's retired until they need, some millions. And then how she wanted her videos off the internet. I'm like, the stupidity of that is once it's on there, it's
it's
there.
never really gone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like if you're gonna ever think that you would want the stuff off because of X, Y, and Z, that's not happening. And I run into the thing with me personally. It's just my personal thing. It's like I have no problem with anyone who does. I mean, it's a legal endeavor. If you're paying your tax, my problem is when you start becoming super arrogant about it and then think you're better than everyone else because people are paying for that stuff. That's when I'm like, okay,
right.
like if this person didn't create this thing, what would you be doing right now in life?
Exactly. But hey, sex work is the world's oldest profession.
It is. It is. And again, like for some people, it's helped them build business and all that. There's more power to it. It's just my thing is that the conception that you think if any one person thinks they're going to start a OF and think they're going to instantly be in that fabled 1% is just bull. That's a bullshit lie. Like most people do not make the millions and all that stuff. And then you you gotta, like you said, you gotta be uncomfortable. You have to be completely
Okay with
null
that. Yeah.
and all of that. Like for some of these people who do the interviews and stuff, like when they're interviewing their friends, it's like, hey, did you like watch my latest video? And it's like, what?
Right.
And but then again, once you cross the line, that's the stuff you're asking you gotta be comfortable you gotta be comfortable with your friends watching that, doing whatever you're doing. You gotta be comfortable with your parents' friends logging into that, which then that can make you go in your head like if we're like 30 years apart and you're 60 and I'm 30 and like you're into
Right.
this stuff, like that's just the things that don't get talked about. But it's like, hey, you're yourself, like you're not coming back from this in a way. Like if you're okay with you just hanging out with your friends and you casually showing them your stuff, that's you. But
Right.
a lot of people are not. So, Chelsea, this is one of the funniest stories that you were on top of, the Afroman case.
Yeah.
So you want to give a little quick synopsis on that so we can just laugh about it?
Um, well, what's funny is it feels like it literally happened 4 months ago when it just happened this past week and a half. Because so much
Right.
we've talked about so much already tonight.
hmm
So, for those of you who don't remember, Afroman is a rapper. He had a very popular song, what, back in like the early 2000s?
Yes.
Um, and he apparently lives here in Ohio.
Hmm.
So what had happened was the there was a raid on his house because there were reports of money and drugs and kidnapping or something random stuff. So the sheriff's department did a raid on his house and they didn't find anything and they took some money as like evidence. When they returned it to him, there was $400 short. So, in response to having the officers break some of his property, including like a gate and surveillance wiring, and then shorting them on the cash and terrifying his family when there wasn't anything going on. Afroman made up a few funny rap songs, including the song called Lemon Pound Cake and other songs like The Police Raid and things like that. And it's a parody. And the only reason why I found out about it was I was scrolling on TikTok and all of a sudden I see him in a all American flag suit just sitting in the courtroom. And the his attorney was just like having a blast with it. And then I sent it to you, and it was just really funny.
Now, yes, it was funny. I think it was also funny the fact that he won the case.
Hmm.
Um, so it was just a little funny thing because he just really looked like he was just going with the flow during the court
Yeah.
proceeding. He wasn't scared to lose or whatnot. So
Hmm.
just shout out to him. I mean,
Right. And I will say, like, if you watch some of the clips, like, it's just kind of funny, just what people were saying on the stand and also like the semantics of it, because the whole thing was a defamation lawsuit, right? Like the
hmm
police officers were coming together because they felt like their names had been slandered. And in reality, like he was calling out the situation is no different than like if he would have gone on Facebook and posted about it. Like he just did it in a way that made sense to him, you know?
hmm
Um, and like Afferman's lawyer, like points out multiple times like artists exaggerate because of entertainment. Like there there's points in music where you have to use your discretion of like, is that real or is that not real, or like what is actually offensive and things of that nature. And one of my favorite things was his attorney was interviewing one of the sheriff sergeants or whatever, and it's like, in the song, you're called son of a bitch. Um, and his attorney was like, there's no way to prove that or disprove it. And the attorney just goes, yeah, she's been dead for years. And Afro Man's attorney just like laughed, and it was just really funny.
just the crazy things you don't expect, the crazy things you do not
Right.
expect.
And like, he's been living in Ohio. That's so random.
Yeah, just minding his own, minding his own. Chelsea, anything else you want to discuss? Anything you want to circle back to? Any last thoughts on the whole Taylor thing and just overall message or
Um, it's obviously been a very busy week and a half in pop culture, and I think we barely covered the surface level of some of the topics, and I think that's okay. Um, Obviously, we don't support what happened with or what Taylor Frankie Paul did, but it's important to talk about even if it is uncomfortable. Like we have to acknowledge things that happen and have those conversations. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
yeah, couldn't couldn't agree couldn't agree more. Won't even say that was a perfect ending. With that being
Um,
said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to. Chelsea we are recording on the 25th of March right now. She will be guaranteed back early-ish May because we got a pod we're going to talk about because obviously summer's coming and some places that you can go to and vibes of things like that. So that's coming early May, and then hope maybe we'll have something in April. We'll see how things go in the world, but we got to get to some of the places that we need to get to do a full breakdown for the May episode for y'all.
Yeah.
So with that being said, thank you guys once again for listening. Signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.